Hey, good morning. Maria back with another video. It is April 30th. It is 10:04 a.m. and I am up and about and I'm trying to be positive today, you know. And so first of all, I'd like to clarify some things, okay? Now, I'm wearing this headband on my hair. For black people who watch my channel, you understand, okay? When you have relaxed your hair and your roots are growing out, they get a little frizzy, fuzzy, nappy, whatever you want to call it. So then you do the best you can to work through this transition until you relax your hair again, right? So for my white viewers who are still tripping on my hair, understanding wigs, weaves, extensions, whatever, you're going to be a little puzzled, okay? Some people think that headbands are, I don't know what they think they are. You know, some people might think they're a little immature or whatever. But for black people, it's fully understandable at certain times, okay? So calm down, stop gossiping, stop trying to figure things out. It's just a personal grooming issue, okay? Really, you know, I understand your curiosity, but just don't take it too far, okay? Anyway, so I'm here to making this video, and so today I had an appointment with a therapist. Now, things are kind of up and down with the whole COVID virus thing going, so, you know, it's not necessary to go into an actual facility to meet face-to-face with the counselor. So she was therapist. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I got her title correct. So, you know, she handled this over the phone, which I really think in some ways that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be able to get counseling over the phone, especially if you're identified with a particular company that is well known, who has a brick and mortar type establishment to where you know it's a legitimate company. So I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I thought it was actually a good idea. And I mean, even though this is a temporary type thing, who's to say that this could be something more available in the future? Even if we have a future or not, who's to say everybody might die from this virus? Who knows? Okay, but I'm just saying, as this thing goes by, as we go forward in the future, that this won't be the norm. So there's certain things that I'm open to. Some people think, well, Maria, you're so closed mind to any sort of progress or anything like that. This is not true. Okay, I'm just saying I do wish things could have, you know, be more simple, you know, in some ways. And so that's what I choose to do in my personal life, incorporate that in my personal life, okay? But as far as, like, you know, some things like telethings, you know, the idea of online schooling, I think that's great. I really do, because not everybody has the time to go to school or whatever. These are options that are available, are wonderful. They're great, you know? So anyway, back to the therapist. So I did talk to her today, and I really didn't want to focus more. I didn't really want to focus on. Okay, I wanted to focus more on the result of the stalking, the result of how it's making me feel, how it's putting obstacles in my life, meaning it's putting, you know, blockages and, you know, depression and stuff like this into my mind. Also fear, because, you know, you don't want to encounter one more weirdo, you know, because that's what it is. Whether they realize what they're doing by participating in this or not, they're still a part of something that, you know, disturbs you profoundly. So that's what it is. It's like I need to get over, you know, the anxiety, which is understandable after dealing with this, okay? So, you know, I wanted to focus more on that. But we did talk about the stalking, okay? And, you know, I did feel good about talking to her, because she did say that she was familiar with cases that relating to human trafficking, which was good, okay? Because human trafficking and gang stalking are very much the same, okay? Some elements are a little bit different, but ultimately you still have what they call a handler, a perp, or whatever. You still have this particular network. In order to make this operation go, you have to isolate the victim, okay? So they are very similar, okay? So I am doing a video. I know it's slow in coming, but I'm dealing with a lot of depression, and that's making me lag behind, okay? So this depression is very debilitating, so much to the point where I felt it was necessary to contact someone on the outside, okay? And you know me, I don't believe in that stuff, okay? I really don't, okay? But I did, okay? So anyway, we talked, and I did feel like she was good. You know, I felt as though she was not condescending in some manner, okay? Because some people that I've spoken to in the past, because they don't understand gang stalking. She actually took the time to look it up on her computer, and we talked about stalking, and so it's understandable that gang stalking is initiated sometimes by one person or two people, but they can help get other people to stalk them. Like, for example, they might conspire or call like a shop that you might go into a lot, or your job, of course, or something where you frequent. So they got this person, spying in, communicating with this person's doing whatever, and so then this person who got involved with the gang stalking thinks this is interesting, so they'll tell other people, and things can spread, and it becomes a fire that lights up a city. Okay, so this conversation that I had with her was actually pretty good. So I'm going to give her a good rating because when you're dealing with somebody who's dealing with trauma, a stalking issue, stalkers of all, no matter how small they are, it still has an enormous effect on the life of the person who is being stalked. Okay, and this is a stalking issue. It's a domestic stalking issue. Okay, so anyway, I did appreciate her, So anyway, but I was telling her what I need to do in life, and I understand that. I can't continuously allow myself to fall into this state of depression and anxiety all the time. It has affected my life for very many years, and it has been disastrous for me. Okay, so she did say, do you ever want to help other people in this situation? I would love to help other people in this situation. Okay, but I also know that in order to be like a counselor or therapist or something, that's not really, even though people say I have a really good understanding of human nature, and I do. Okay, I know that I do. Okay, seriously, some people would wonder, why the hell did you always want to work in accounting or work in an office when you really are good with people? I never thought to make it a life. What do you call it? A life thing. I just feel as though there's certain elements or understanding of psychology or the makeup of people that people should know, okay, as they go through the course of life. Because especially now that I'm older and I'm fully aware that all I have is myself in this life, okay? All I really care about, who really cares about my back, okay? Yes, I do love my son, and I'm sure my son loves me too, right? But nobody fully understands your issues more than you. So as we go through this, navigate through what I call hell on earth, because we all know that it is. We all know that it is, okay? You need to understand who's a bullshitter, who's not a bullshitter, who's going to hurt you, who's going to harm you. And I will tell you, a lot of people will hurt you. So you got to take care of yourself, okay? So, but it is a great skill that I have. I'm very good at that. And even if I might be the kind of person that could solve everyone's problems, I might be able to read minds or whatever. I might be, a natural whatever at this, which I do believe that I am. I do have loose gifts, okay? But that's still under the state of California. In order to be practicing, I have to have a license, okay? It doesn't matter how awesome I am, okay? So that would not necessarily be, but I do think that there should be like maybe groups or talked about, or maybe I wouldn't mind being a part of an organization where I can help women who've dealt with domestic issues, whether that be violence or somebody who's playing mind games with them, like the stalking, or in some form of abuse, okay? And it's abuse. Financial abuse is very abusive, okay? That's like the worst abuse you can ever do to a person. Whatever the kind of abuse, I do think that there should be programs available to women, not just women, men, anyway. Targeting individuals in general, okay? But I have a soft spot for the woman's issue, because I understand how women can get trampled on in this situation. Also, it is an issue of race, okay? It is, okay? But I do think that people of color should be able to understand what goes on in the workplace, okay? And they should know this, okay? Which I'm sure many of them do already, okay? But anyway, I'm just saying these are issues that are very important, okay? So you can turn these things. I was telling the therapist, I'm trying to turn what I've learned, my experience, instead of focusing on the people who got involved, is more focusing and dissecting how I feel about these particular issues that I was persecuted for. And so I have, I obviously have my own philosophy in life, which I am entitled to have. I do have my own philosophy and way of life, okay, which every person here in the United States of America, okay, is entitled to have. And yes, I am an African American woman, but slavery's over. Okay, which means that I have the right to have a life. Now, I'm not somebody who's trying to promote my views, my thinking. The only reason why I'm talking about this issue is because I was at work minding my own business, and then bullshit started happening, and then this explosion has been going on. So I started making videos about it, okay? And then it made me start realizing that I've been tracked, bullied, whatever, my entire life. And then I started realizing, okay, what are these issues? These issues are important to me. I believe that everyone has the right to have, we have the freedom of religion in this country. We have the right to see God the way that we want to. We do, okay? We have the right to have our own views, raise our own families the way that we want to. We have those rights, as long as it's not harming another person, meaning like, creating conflicts and war over disagreements, because my neighbor may not have the same views as I do, about certain things. So, I realize, and I can explain why I feel the way that I do on certain issues. And they are legitimate. You know what I mean? You can't, anyway. So I'm focusing more on that, like my views of life, and like formulating these concepts, as to how do we deal with these disagreements, these things that has plagued mankind forever, okay? This is what wars are created over, okay? People have wars every day, from small wars that involve countries to the small conflicts that we have with our neighbors, our coworkers, our so-called friends, and this is it. This is a part of life, So it's more like changing my mindset. I have to accept. I'm learning to accept that there is evil in this world. That there is ignorance borderlines evil, because like I said, I gave the example, like, the whole issue relating to God. God even said, I created good things, whatever. Basically, I don't have the scripture in front of me, and I also created evil. So we have this on the earth, okay? There's bad and there's good. There's this, and some people, and that's why we had Jesus, okay? Because Jesus was here to show us, how we can work our way through this chaos by providing certain guidelines, okay? So I understand this evil is here on earth. It is here. Okay, we do have it. And but we can't allow ourselves to be beaten down by it. Even if they have what they call the upper hand with their institutions and their illegal operations, okay? We have to hang on to life to the best of our ability. This is our right, okay? It's our right. This is a war. We do have a war on souls. That's a whole issue altogether, which I will talk about in another video because it's a good one. But we do. There is this whole war of using certain forms of deception and making people lean to a certain way of life. That's disastrous. You know what I mean? But anyway, I would like to stay more on the mundane, okay? Because when I'm talking with a group of people, it's better that unless of course it's supposed to be something spiritual or religious or dogmatic or something, I would prefer to keep that on a different video. But life in general, like I think about these petty disagreements, things that prevent love from really being a realistic idea on the earth. Like, we talk about especially like, since I was a kid, and I guess maybe this particular generation was always talking about love and peace and everything, which is beautiful, okay? But those things only come in bits and parts, okay? That is not something the world will ever accomplish on a wide scale, okay? This world is chaotic, and I realize that there is this whole issue of predator and prey. You're either a predator or you're the prey, okay? You're either somebody who's on, I mean, we all have a little bit of that in us, okay? Like, for example, when it comes to my perps, you know, if there were no laws involved in this or whatever, there would be a part of me that would be allow this evil to leash out of myself. Like, I would do something wrong. I know it, okay? But I understand that that's a pointless thing, okay? Because it's better for me to move on. Okay, and I told my therapist today, I said, you know, look, I don't want revenge on these people, okay? Because anybody who would do this, you are already at a low state of existence, regardless of your financial money that you have. This is one of the reasons why you do what you do. Okay, that when you mimic demonic entities. This is what I'm getting back into the spiritual, but from a psychology or of the point of view of something that relates to psychology, okay, which is a science, all right. There is a serious behavioral issue inside of you to do what you've done. You know, we don't always like what other people do, okay, but we have to accept responsibility for ourselves. If you don't like what I do, then you go do something better. Okay, you don't need to look back and see if I'm trying to compete with you, because believe me, I'm not paying attention to your shit. I'm more focused on me trying to get a job, do my job, come home, and keep a roof over my head. That's the only goddamn thing I need to worry about on this earth. Outside of that, that is the only thing I need to worry about on this earth. Nothing else. And for those people that I love in my life, then they are very precious to me, and I will do everything I can to devote myself to them willingly. Okay, but as far as, like, you know, my concerns that goes on in this world, I can see what it is. I don't belong in it. I don't belong in it. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. It leans too much into the evil, into the darkness. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think I got off the subject here, but it was a good conversation. And so I was thinking, you know, about the COVID-19 thing. There's a lot of people who, you know, they're at home and they don't care. I mean, I was talking about my armpits just the other day. Like, you know, it was ridiculous. It's like, Maria, do you want to grow into an animal? I'm like, no, I don't. Okay, and it's not about people seeing you. It's about how it makes you feel. You know, and I think people should do what they need to do in order for them to feel good about themselves. You know what I mean? I don't feel happy when there's hair under my arms. Okay, I don't. You know what I mean? It's not about somebody seeing that hair under my arms. Okay, it's about me. It's about me. That's what everything you should do in this world, and give love to people who deserve it, because there's a lot of people who don't deserve your love. They just don't. You know? And so I want to find the right people to love. You know what I mean? But it's hard in a world like this. It's not that I'm like some stingy bitch that, you know, I have so much love to give, but I'm not giving it to these people who continually abuse me. It's not about that. It's about, you know what, I look at love as a sacred thing. I want to care about a friend who is worthy of my care. You know? It's hard to find. You know? So all these, I saw this thing about this lady who was wearing, I guess she was wearing like an evening gown. You know, now that she's like, you know, isolated like everyone else was for, I think certain states are getting a little bit, raising their this restriction on some things a little bit more, but she was sitting at home. I guess she works, but now she's doing like work at home, and, you know, she feels like life isn't interesting anymore. So she gets up, even if she takes out the trash, she gets up, puts on some nice clothes, and she goes out and takes her trash out. She's trying to keep up her morale of life. Okay? Because when it gets dark in this world, and it gets dark, it's always dark. I mean, I guarantee you, it's always dark. Most of it is dark out there, meaning it's gloomy, it's pessimistic, it is a miserable existence outside your front door. Okay? We have to make our own paradise. So she's like, I'm going to try to make my life better. And I say, you know what? You go right ahead. Good for you. Because it is a miserable existence. Okay, I can tell you right now, her neighbor's not going to try to make her life better. Even her own mother may not even try to make her life better. The only person who's going to make her life better is her. So if that puts light in her miserable day, which is her day, going out to the trash to take the trash out, okay, that's what, maybe a 2-minute task, and all the rest of the 24 hours of that day is going to be garbage. Let her enjoy her 2 fucking minutes, because there is a lot of goddamn misery in the world. She's trying to hang on to life, and good to her, good for her. Whatever little bit of happiness she can have, you know. So anyway, yeah, I'm trying to separate the issues from the people and more focus on these particular issues. And these issues are important to me. They're important to me. They're important for me because, you know, it's explorative. I mean, like when I think about what people say and what they say they stand for, and only to come to find out that most people don't even know what they're talking about. You know, they love America in this country. Why do you love America? Why is it so great to be an American? And why are you always pointing the finger at these other oppressive countries when your behavior shows every bit of being just as oppressive as those countries? Why is that? Are we truly free in this country? Really? I mean, I'm starting to think deeper and deeper and deeper about, like, even the human behavior aspect of it. You know, it's got me thinking about race. It's got me thinking, and I've been bored with the subject of race for a very long time because, okay, it's been played out in front of my face for so many years now. You know, I see the sort of abuses that go on to people of color. I'm well aware of it. But then I understand it's deeper than that. I mean, it's deep, okay? It's a very deep subject. You know, it's like, I don't know, these ridiculous power plays and stuff. So my thing is, like, when I come home, you know, when I'm at home or in my little room or whatever, it's like, I don't want to deal with that. I just don't. You know, my world is religion free. My world is colorless. My world is my world meaning, like, those things don't matter. I'm not going to judge a person that I might care about because how they see God, or I don't like the fact that they don't look like me or they don't act like me. It's not about that. It's deeper than that. It's more important, you know. So that's my world, and I have the right to live that way. You know, we have bullies in this world that will always be there. You know, and we live in a very bullying culture that's inspired, and they quickly become inspired to bully someone. And all their church lessons and all their little talks with their parents about, you know, not making fun of people, not bullying people, not, you know, being more understanding, being tolerant, and all this other, all those beautiful things, those great life lessons that they've learned as a kid goes in one ear and out the other, and they are doing something completely opposite that they might even tell their children not to do. Don't pick on that kid at school, that's bullying, but we'll do this to the person at work. You know, there is a dualistic part in the human mind that really does need to be explored. And unfortunately, you know, like I was telling the girl today on the phone, the therapist, okay? What was I telling her? I'm so sorry. I forgot my train of thought. But I was basically telling her that I wanted to, you know, always be able to meet interesting, stimulating people. Okay? The reason why I can't get things off the ground is because I'm surrounded by perps all the time. Okay? Like, they'll make sure that you work their jobs, you're around their people, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And I do even suspect that sometimes people that I've met on the internet were actually these people. Looking back, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you want your own life. These people have stumbled me many times. many times, because it's not about me not being able to go out and meet people, because I don't have a problem talking to people. I don't have a problem with that at all. You know, that's one of the things I think that they kind of resented about me. I remember one time going to this group, and we were supposed to describe what we thought about each other. And this person, I really do believe that my family put them up to it. They said, I perceive that you are self-assured. That I come off as self-assured. Self-assured is not the same as arrogance. Okay? I just feel like, if there's something I want to say or I want to get to know somebody, I don't have a problem doing that. So, and I do believe that there was probably perp activity at this particular gathering or meeting that I had went to. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being self-assured. Meaning I don't have a problem talking to people. But I'm not arrogant. I have flaws like everyone else. You know what I mean? I'm not arrogant. I'm not somebody who thinks that I'm so good that I can't associate with people. I make my decision on who I associate with based on how people treat me. So if somebody thinks I rejected them, well, I'm going to tell you I probably had a good reason to. Because I don't want abuse. And so like a narcissistic person will accuse you of being arrogant because you don't like being abused by them. So they're like, who do you think you are? Like, in other words, you should be like bending over backwards to take my abuse and be happy about it. And there's always, it is a sick, I really do think if you're going to merge the secular world with the spiritual world, when you talk about narcissistic people and their abuses, and if you want to bring it to a spiritual level, which I personally think for professionally they should be separated, okay? Because if you're talking to a group of people or a particular person, it's better, anything spiritual related should be separate from that, okay? But do I believe narcissistic people borderline demonic? I'm going to say they do. I'm going to say they do. Because there's something very weird if somebody wants to understand your mind, somebody who wants to control you, somebody who wants to abuse you financially, right at the core. Take that out. Somebody that is wicked is what that is. Okay? But of course, wicked, evil, good, light, darkness, that does not belong in a medical type world. I do remember one time though, where I was working at the convalescent hospital when I was younger, okay, and it was pretty gross, okay, I can go into some stories. I can go into some stories about that, okay, but anyway, I was working at a convalescent hospital many years ago, okay, and we were talking, every Wednesday we'd go into this particular class, okay, in order to become a certified nursing assistant, you had to take this class every week, and then you kind of got your certification or whatever. So they were talking about death and dying, which I was interested in at that age, very interested in the transition of death and dying. And we were talking about, the instructor was talking about, and in this small paragraph in the book, they were talking about how you should behave in front of the person who is dying, right? Because you want to make sure that it's peaceful for them. Okay, now, in this one particular sentence or this paragraph, there was like a little asterisk, and it was basically talking about why you want to be careful about what you say to these certain people. And also they gave an example of how they find it to be a medical phenomenon, how a patient could be in one room and you might be way over on the other side of a room or building or whatever, and they can still hear you. Many times during this death transition, they're able to hear you. So they said it was a phenomenon. Okay? And they believe that they were saying that it was a phenomenon because some religious people, they were saying, some religious people believe that these phenomenons occur because there's a transition of their soul kind of exiting out and coming back in during the death process and before it actually gets released, okay? So somehow or another, it was believed, okay, that somehow there's some sort of something supernatural that allows them to do this, okay? That interests me, okay? But still, the reason why they had a little asterisk and that little paragraph was off to the side is because they were acknowledging that it was phenomena, but they didn't want to go into the supernatural aspect of it because that's debatable, okay? When it comes to education materials, it should really be devoid of any of that. Because it needs to be understood. It's not about dogma or anything. It's a neutral thing. But it was interesting. It was very interesting. So anyway, so I'm just kind of thinking about different things right now, keeping my mind sharp, trying to keep myself, positive as much as I can. Okay, it is very depressing, but just trying to get my thoughts in order, getting over the fear, making steps is what I'm trying to do and deal with my life. So not a bad day. It's only like 10, close to 10, after 10:30. It basically just started, but still, it's not. I feel as though, I appreciated her competencies. Like I felt as though the therapist was, pretty good and probably would be well equipped. She seems well equipped for assisting people who have dealt with trauma. And she did say, gang stalking, from what she understood, is extremely overwhelming, and it is a little different than stalking because of the widespread aspect, the very fact that it's not just one central location. It's very overwhelming, okay? But again, that's not really her thing. Basically, what she's here to do is to listen and perhaps offer advice to, for example, maybe how you could override an anxiety, things that triggers your anxiety. That's what she's there for. But at least she acknowledged that gang stalking is not bullshit. Because a lot of people would. Some people think that you must think you're self-important, that all these people are getting together, conspiring against you. No, this is a very common thing. And no, I don't think I'm self-important. I might be self-assured, meaning, I'm a confident person. You know what I mean? But I do have my issues. There's certain things, I don't like about myself. I think everybody's like that, okay? But that doesn't mean I'm not afraid to talk to certain people. I'm not afraid to be assertive. And so usually when you hear people who acknowledge that you're self-assured, that's them wanting to cut you down. They want to cut you down. Because why shouldn't a person be able to participate in a conversation? Why shouldn't a person be able to talk to somebody if they need to? Why shouldn't they? I deal with a lot of the backtracking, and I want to stop backtracking. You know what I mean? It's hard to move forward when you've dealt with, that form of abuse, especially the financial aspect. You're going in for a job and somebody thinks it's funny that, you need a job and they're, trying to play games with you. That is very much like somebody holding a gun to your head. And it's not funny. And the effect, and that's pretty much what it is. It's the traumatizing aspect of it. And this is one of the reasons why. I've dealt with the issues of having problems with my sleep. Yesterday I got in the car after not driving for a week or two. But it's still, there's sometimes, where I'm driving on the road and I would think about that stuff. And it's no, don't think about that. Instead of that, thinking about these people, think about how you feel about religion in this country. Think about how you feel about how some white people can be extremely arrogant to the point of where they feel like they own you. Think about these issues, and how it could maybe relate to maybe another project, or maybe talking to other people who can relate to these issues. Talk about these hot topics. I was going to say current topics. This isn't current. This is shit that's been going on forever. Or how do you feel about women's issues? How do you feel about, because, when I was younger, I used to blow off women's issues. I did. I blew them off. It's But I do, I do see that there's a lot of oppression when it comes to women. I do see that too. So anyway, very interesting stuff. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I will be back with another video some other time later, and I hope to all TIs you stay safe. Bye-bye.